Good afternoon, everyone. Today, I want to speak about something that concerns all of us as students and as citizens: the difference between knowledge and information. We live in a world overflowing with information. With just one click, we can search for facts, statistics, or news. Social media provides endless streams of posts and headlines. It sometimes feels like we are drowning in information. But here is the paradox. Even though we have more information than any generation before us, we do not necessarily have more knowledge. So what is information? Information is data. It can be numbers, names, dates, or events. Information tells us what happened, but it often does not explain why. It is like pieces of a puzzle spread across a table, without connection, without meaning. And what is knowledge? Knowledge is when those pieces come together. It is when we connect facts, understand their context, and ask what they mean. Knowledge allows us not only to memorize, but also to think, to reflect, and to apply what we learn. Information may tell us that the temperature today is 35 degrees. Knowledge helps us ask why it is so hot, how climate change is involved, and what we should do about it. This difference matters. Without knowledge, information can mislead us. A rumor online may look like information, has words and pictures. If it lacks truth, it is not knowledge. Fake news spreads because people treat information as if it were knowledge. That is dangerous for individuals and for society. In school, we face this problem every day. Some people say memorization is unnecessary because we can look everything up online. But education is not just about collecting information. It is about learning to think critically, to evaluate sources, and to understand meaning. A student who copies an answer from the internet may have information but not knowledge. True learning is about transformation, not just storage. We can also ask about AI. Machines can process huge amounts of data. They can generate text, summarize articles, even answer questions. But does that mean they now? Most of us would say no. AI can use information, but it does not understand in the way humans do. That responsibility, earning information into knowledge, still belongs to us. So what should we do? First, we must learn to slow down. Instead of just scrolling, we need to ask questions. Is this information true? What does it mean? How should I use it? Second, we must remember that knowledge requires effort, discussion, reflection, even doubt. And third, we must connect what we learn to our lives so that knowledge becomes wisdom. In the end, the difference between information and knowledge is simple, but powerful. Information is everywhere, but knowledge is what we build from it. Information fills our minds, but knowledge shapes our judgment. Information is easy. Knowledge is hard. But it is knowledge that allows us to live responsibly and wisely. That is why, as students and as future citizens, we must not settle for information alone. We must seek knowledge. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Today, I would like to talk about the philosophy of the information age. We all know that information is everywhere around us. With just one click, we can access news from the other side of the world, watch videos, or read thousands of opinions. At first, this seems like a great gift. Compared to the past, when knowledge was scarce and hard to get, we live in a time of abundance. But I think this raises a serious question. Does more information really make us wiser? To answer this, we need to think about the difference between information, knowledge, and wisdom. Information is just data, single pieces of fact or opinion. Knowledge is what happens when we connect and organize information so that it makes sense. And wisdom is something deeper, the ability to judge what is important, what is right, and how we should act. In the information age, we are flooded with information, but that does not mean we automatically gain wisdom. Let me give an example. When we scroll through social media, we may see breaking news, personal posts, advertisements, and rumors all mixed together. The question is not whether the information is there. It is which information we trust and what we do with it. If we simply consume everything, we may end up confused or even misled. But if we pause, reflect, and ask what really matters, we are practicing wisdom. Another example is politics. Leaders may show us lots of numbers and statistics. That is knowledge. But deciding how to balance fairness, justice, and long-term responsibility requires wisdom. The same is true in our personal lives. We may know many facts from the internet, but choosing how to act toward others, how to treat friends, or how to protect the environment, that is wisdom. This is why philosophy is important in the information age. Philosophy is not about memorizing old ideas. It is about asking questions. What is true? What matters? What should we do? Philosophy helps us slow down, reflect, and resist the pressure of endless updates. It reminds us that being informed is not the same as being wise. I believe our generation has a special challenge. We are surrounded by information from morning until night. We cannot escape it, but we can learn to handle it. If we only chase speed and newness, we may lose depth. But if we combine information with reflection, we can find wisdom. In conclusion, the information age gives us great opportunities, but also great risks. Information can guide us, but it can also mislead us. Philosophy can help us separate signal from noise and wisdom from trivia. My hope is that we as students will not only collect information, but also learn to think deeply and choose wisely. That is how we can make the information age a truly meaningful age. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Today, I want to talk about something that shapes not only our future as students, but the health of our society: fact and fake. We live in a time when information is everywhere. With a few taps on a phone, we can access more data than past generations could in a lifetime. But here is the problem. When so much information flows so fast, how do we know what is true and what is false? A fact is something that can be checked. It is grounded in evidence. It can be confirmed by different sources, and it does not change just because our feelings change. A fake, on the other hand, is information that is false, but often feels convincing. It spreads quickly, not because it is true, but because it touches our emotions, fear, anger, or excitement. Why does this matter? Because decisions based on fake information can have real consequences. Think about health. If someone believes false claims about medicine, they may refuse treatment and put themselves and others at risk. Think about the environment. If fake news convinces people that climate change is not real, then action is delayed and the damage grows. Even in daily life, a rumor can harm someone's reputation before the truth has time to catch up. But why do people believe fakes? One reason is that fakes are often easier to accept. They may match our desires or the opinions of our friends. Sharing a shocking story can even make us feel part of a group. But truth is not always easy or entertaining. Sometimes it is slow, complex, or uncomfortable. Yet it is truth that allows us to solve problems together. So what should we do as students? First, we should learn the habit of questioning. Before sharing a post or repeating a story, we can ask, where does this come from? Can I check it somewhere else? Who might benefit if I believe this? Second, we can practice responsibility. Each of us has power in the digital world. One careless share can spread falsehood to hundreds of people, but one careful choice can protect our community. In the end, the difference between fact and fake is not only about information, it is about trust. Trust in science, trust in democracy, and trust between friends. Without facts, trust breaks. With facts, we can build together. So my message is simple. Don't let fake steal your voice. Don't let it break the rhythm of our common life. Respect the truth, because respecting truth is respecting each other. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Today, I would like to talk about something that sounds simple, but is actually very difficult to define. Happiness. We all say we want to be happy, but what do we really mean when we use that word? For some people, happiness means pleasure. Eating good food, laughing with friends, playing games, or listening to music you love. These are moments when we feel joy, and they matter. But can happiness only mean pleasure? If so, what happens when the moment ends? Others say happiness means purpose. Imagine studying hard for an exam, training for a sport, or helping someone in need. It may not feel good at every moment. Sometimes it is tiring, even painful. But in the end, it brings a deeper sense of satisfaction. This kind of happiness is not about one moment. It is about building a life that feels meaningful. Philosophers have argued about this for centuries. Aristotle said that happiness is living with virtue, becoming the best version of ourselves. The utilitarians said happiness is pleasure and the absence of pain. Religions also give answers. Buddhism speaks of freedom from desire. Christianity emphasizes love, and Confucianism highlights harmony in relationships. Each tradition gives us a different track, but all are part of the same song. Now, let's think about our daily lives. On social media, we see images of perfect happiness, vacations, fancy food, smiling faces. But is that real happiness? Or is it performance? Sometimes scrolling makes us feel less happy, not more. So maybe happiness is not about comparison, but about gratitude. Appreciating the ordinary joys in our own lives. Happiness also depends on connection. People with strong relationships, if family, friends, and community tend to be happier. Loneliness, on the other hand, makes life heavy. That means happiness is not only an individual project. It is something we create together. As high school students, what does this mean for us? I think happiness is not just about the next exam score, the next purchase, or the next like on our posts. Happiness is about finding meaning in effort, sharing time with people we care about, and trusting that even struggles can shape us. So here is my conclusion. Happiness is not one simple thing. It is not only pleasure, not only success, not only peace. It is a balance. Joy and effort, freedom and connection, comfort and challenge. It grows when we pay attention, when we share, and when we live with purpose. I believe our generation's task is not to chase happiness as if it were a prize, but to create it as a way of life. To be grateful for what we have, to connect with others, and to use our freedom with responsibility. That is what happiness means to me.